Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu Lamplight City. Wir sind ja letztes Mal hier vor dem Haus gelandet.
Rats with fluffy tails. How anyone can find them endearing is beyond me.
Excuse me, Mrs. Andrews?
May I help you?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I was hoping you could answer a few questions.
All right then. Don't worry, my darlings. Mommy only needs a moment to speak to the nice man, then I'll give you all the nuts you can eat. My little friends just adore nuts, Mr. Fordham.
Guess that explains why squirrels are so attracted to her.
Das war gut.
Do you have any hobbies or pastimes, Mrs. Andrews?
Well, of course. I do a bit of knitting and I take care of my pets.
I take it you're fond of animals?
Oh, yes. I just love animals. Most prove to be better company than people.
Is that right?
Well, consider this, Mr. Fordham. Animals can't betray you or lie.
Uh-oh, I don't like where this is going.
My furry little companions would never hurt me, unlike several humans I could name.
Who are these companions exactly?
Why, my darling little kitties and squirrel friends, of course.
Your squirrel friends are quite tame.
Oh, aren't they just the sweetest? And so smart, too. When I feed them, they come up and put their little paws on my hands as though they were giving me little squirrel hugs. And the way they look into my eyes, I can almost hear them saying, "Thank you for the nuts."
Well, at least you can be grateful that it's only my voice you hear and not some rabid squirrels.
Tell me about your cats.
They're the most wonderful little dears. Do you have any pets?
Afraid not. My wife isn't too fond of cleaning up after animals.
Pity. Cats make wonderful pets. They're good company and are independent, unlike dogs. Edgar and Hubert are my pride and joy. I give them only the best of everything, and they in turn give me their unconditional love.
That's delightful.
I used to have a wonderful cat named Tobias, but, he had an unfortunate accident. That's why I never let my two angels out of the house.
What happened to Tobias the cat?
I really rather not talk about that. It wasn't my finest hour. Let's just say it was an honest misunderstanding which got blown way out of proportion.
Well, now I just have to know what happened. I hate it when people tease gossip and don't deliver.
Wir wissen ja aber, wie wir
Did you know Desiree Lathan?
Not personally. I never met her, but I knew exactly who she was.
And who was that?
A miserable drunk. Always going out and getting liquored up at her so-called socialite balls. They try to make them seem so fancy and high class, but it's really just a bunch of bitter old hags getting together to gossip about each other. With that kind of lifestyle, it was only a matter of time before it caught up with her.
Do you happen to know anything about the circumstances surrounding the death of Miss Lathan?
I read in the paper that she was burned to death. In her bed, wasn't it?
That's right. Do you have any idea how that may have happened?
Well, I already told you she was a drunk. Maybe she came home plastered and decided to smoke in bed. I'm rather surprised she was sleeping alone. That woman got around, if you know what I mean.
She certainly seems to know a lot about Desiree for someone who claims to have never met her.
Thank you for the chat. It was very enlightening.
Oh, my pleasure, Mr. Fordham. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to tending to my little darlings.
Lassen Sie sich nicht stören. Okay, gucken wir mal kurz rein. Wir haben immer noch mit dem Anwalt es reden. Nochmal mit Roger DeVay reden. Wir können sagen, dass diese Lathan an spontaner Selbstentzündung gestorben ist. Warum auch immer es nicht übersetzt ist, aber ist ja egal. Und wir müssen rausfinden, was mit Carter Tobias geschehen ist. Das kriegen wir hin. Keine wirkliche Spur, glaube ich, die uns zum Fall weiterbringt, aber immerhin interessant.
Mr. Andrews.
Yes?
Is there anything you can tell me about your wife's old cat, Tobias?
Oh God, there's a name I was hoping never to hear again. She loved that cat. I'm sure she would have married it instead of me if she could. Mangy little bastard was always leaving a mess and knocking things over, but he was Peggy's little angel. Then one day I'd had enough, so I let him outside and...
Yes?
The stupid thing managed to get itself killed. Then things got ugly.
How so?
Peggy got a bit carried away and... Well, let's just say I never imagined a cat could earn someone a criminal record.
The plot thickens. Or perhaps sickens.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Andrews.
Okay. Ja. Könnten wir natürlich mit Upton reden, theoretisch. Ja, mal gucken.
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
I need some information on one Margaret Andrews. Apparently, she has a criminal record.
Margaret Andrews, eh? Give me a moment to look her up in the archives. Yes, here we are. Margaret Andrews was brought in for questioning 5 years ago in connection with a fire at a theater in Worcester.
Oh?
Yes, nothing came of it, but she was briefly a suspect. Oh, there's more. She also had a prior conviction for arson.
You don't say.
The file says she set fire to a cab after the driver ran over her cat. She served 6 months in prison for that. This was back in 1835.
Fascinating.
Thank you for your help, Upton. This has been extremely valuable.
So, Margaret Andrews has a jealous streak and a penchant for setting things on fire. Seems a likely culprit to me.
Ich bin nicht überzeugt.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
Ich bin nicht überzeugt. Aber gut, wir haben noch mal ein Ding ausgeschlossen, also ein Ding abgeschlossen. Ich meine, wir haben das verbrannte Tuch mit dem Leinöl. Das ist einfach nicht irgendwie. Wir müssen immer noch mit dem Anwalt irgendwie reden. Ich weiß noch nicht wie. Oh doch, wir haben den
Begging your
Todesreport.
pardon, sir.
Yes?
Perhaps Mr. Usher will see me when he sees this.
Oh, what's that?
A report from Dr. Malcolm Edwards, the city coroner, confirming Miss Lathan's untimely demise.
Let me see that. Oh my. Wait one moment, would you?
Martin, what is the meaning of this?
The gentleman who brought that is a private investigator. He's waiting outside to see you.
Send him in then.
You heard him, Mr. Fordham. You may go inside and see Mr. Usher.
Thank you kindly.
Oder sagen, wir haben ja den Gerichtsmediziner-Report.
So, a private investigator, are you?
That's right. Miles Fordham is my name.
Jonas Usher, a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure's all mine.
So, it would seem that Miss Lathan has shuffled off the mortal coil, as it were.
I'm sorry to say that is indeed the case.
Please come in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. I only ask that you kindly wash your hands in the basin first, and limit what you touch in here.
This one seems a bit on edge, doesn't he? Adds a nice bit of color to the room. Is there anything more boring than books on law? Just reading the titles is making me drowsy. Stern-looking lady. Judging by how full these bottles are, Usher doesn't indulge much. What a waste.
Okay.
Usher seems to like keeping his guests at a distance.
Gut, waschen wir uns die Hände, wir sind ja freundlich.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. I appreciate your cooperation.
Don't get carried away with the hand washing, or you might end up like Usher. Usher seems...
Mr. Usher, I have some questions for you.
And hopefully I have your answers.
How long have you been practicing law, Mr. Usher?
Usher and Price has been operating since 1805. I took over from my father 15 years ago. The stress hasn't helped my heartburn, I can tell you that. Why, just last night I was tossing and turning because I couldn't stand the burning in my throat. That's why I've got these bags under my eyes, you know.
Ah, yes. And Mr. Price?
He's still here, although I think he'll probably be retiring soon as well. But the law firm has done well over the years, and I have a feeling it'll do even better in the years to come.
Oh? Why is that?
We're currently beginning a group litigation against Royal Maverick for the Lygia disaster. I'm confident that we'll recover quite a significant sum for the families of those killed. You weren't by chance affected by the disaster, were you?
Thankfully, I wasn't, no.
Shame. You could have joined the class action and done quite well when we win.
You know, I always thought we detectives made our living off human tragedy.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
She was a lovely woman. I'm saddened to hear of her unfortunate passing.
How long had you been her attorney?
She retained me some 10 years ago, I believe.
That's quite a long time.
Yes, I remember I had just gotten over a bout of melancholia and been able to work in nearly a month. I didn't think I'd make it out of that, but luckily things took a turn for the better. Miss Lathan came to see me, and I've served as her attorney ever since.
Would you say Miss Lathan is a wealthy woman?
Indeed I would. Her estate is worth a significant sum. Of course, you understand that this is confidential information, so I cannot tell you the exact amount.
Yes, of course. Can you think of anyone who may have wanted to harm Miss Lathan?
No, I can't. What makes you think that someone actually killed her?
It seems the most plausible explanation.
Miss Lathan was getting on in years. It's likely she may have developed a case of pneumonia. That's the most common killer of the elderly, you know. I had it when I was younger. Most unpleasant. Constant coughing, spitting up phlegm, rattling in the lungs. Thankfully, I made a full recovery.
But supposing that was the cause of death, how would it explain the fact that her body was completely burned?
She was a smoker. Perhaps she was having a cigarette when she died and dropped it on the bed, causing it to catch fire.
I found no cigarette butts at the crime scene.
I'm merely offering my opinion, Mr. Fordham. You can take it or leave it.
I think we should leave it.
I found this letter in Miss Lathan's bedroom, which mentions that she recently changed her will. Could you tell me a bit more about the circumstances surrounding this change?
That's not an uncommon occurrence. People change their wills all the time. Relatives and friends fall in and out of favor constantly.
Had Miss Lathan made changes to her will previously?
No, this was the first time.
What change did she make exactly?
Just a change to her beneficiary. Nothing out of the ordinary.
And when did this change occur?
About 4 months ago, if I recall correctly. Yes, it was definitely in June, because I'd been in bed with a nasty stomach flu at the end of May. That was no fun, let me tell you. I think I lost nearly 6 pounds from the constant trips to the WC. Couldn't keep a thing down, and whatever did stay down soon came out the other end, if you get my meaning.
I'd say his meaning is regrettably impossible to avoid.
So, es ist auch definitiv zu viel Information.
Who did Miss Lathan name as her new beneficiary?
Mr. Fordham, please! You know I couldn't possibly tell you that. There is such a thing as attorney-client privilege.
Sagen Sie es mir jetzt, oder ich werde auf Sie niesen. Das ist gut.
I'm aware of that. However, Miss Lathan is deceased. Therefore, it stands to reason that she is in fact no longer your client.
True, but her estate is still in my hands. I'm not going to betray her trust just because she's dead.
About Miss Lathan's beneficiary.
I told you, Mr. Fordham. I can't divulge information protected under attorney-client privilege.
Mr. Usher, if you don't tell me right now, I'm going to sneeze on you.
You... what?
I've been very sick lately, and I feel a rather nasty sneeze coming on.
You wouldn't dare.
Oh, wouldn't I? I really need that information.
No! Get out of my office!
Not if you don't tell me the name.
All right! It's Roger DeVay! That's who she named as her new beneficiary!
I need an address, Usher. I can only hold this sneeze back for so long.
775 Bubblechuck Place in Chumley! Now please get out of here before you infect me!
There, see? That wasn't so hard.
You scoundrel. You nearly gave me a heart attack!
A fine performance, Miles. You've made me proud.
Tatsächlich, das war wunderschön. Das war wunderschön.
Mr. Usher, I've noticed from your rules and habits that you seem to have a particular aversion to germs. Why is that, if I may ask?
I've been ill most of my life, Mr. Fordham. I was a sickly child, and unfortunately my condition hasn't improved with age. It's a miracle I'm still alive. That's why I'm so careful about exposing myself to germs.
I see.
How's my color? Do I look pale to you?
Not particularly.
I saw myself in the mirror this morning and thought I looked a bit peaked. Also, my leg has been hurting more than usual, which has been cause for concern.
Nah, you've really done it, Miles.
Yes, well, moving on. Thank you for your help, Mr. Usher.
The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Fordham.
Große Hilfe war er, nachdem ich ihn betonen musste, ihn anzuniesen. Aber gut, bevor es weitergeht, bedanke ich mich recht herzlich fürs Zusehen und wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal. Ciao, ciao!